ready to go in our seats. So welcome to the AFC Wimbledon Business Club. Topic for today is adversity in the business. At the end, but let's now have a chat with Ryan O'Sullivan. So Ryan, CEO of Rye Group and a main sponsor here at AFC Wimbledon. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about yourself and the company.
So good morning everyone, how are we all? Yeah. Nice to see you, nice. My name's Ryan. I am a local chap. My business is based around Merton. As a young man, I played for Wimbledon through the academy and then made my way through football. I ended up getting released from Brentford and then came and done a spell at AFC Wimbledon in the early days. It didn't really go as far as what I would have done, what I would have liked to do in football, because I basically started a business and instead of going to football training of the evening, I would go out, quote jobs and see customers, catch up with paperwork and so on and so forth. So here today, where do I start, I suppose? We sponsor the Rye Group stand over here. We have sponsored AFC Wimbledon for 17, 18, 19, 27 years now. I've seen major change at Wimbledon as a business. The first ground, obviously Kings Meadow, you guys obviously, a lot of you have been there. There's also faces that I've met and seen here from the business network and event that probably haven't seen the original grounds. Today with Wimbledon, we look after a little bit of the maintenance here. There's been a few scenarios that I've seen with this stadium where water problems have happened, whether it's from the Wandle or whether it's from dodgy pipe work that we didn't fit, by the way, wasn't our pipe work. Talking about sort of rivers and streams and that, I think talking about business and COVID and things, I know there's a lot of probably businesses here that got hit with, hurdles and blockages and things within the COVID scenario that you have to adapt and overcome. And I think that revenue streams have to change these days. There's been certain scenarios in our line of work where we couldn't get into customers' houses because of the COVID virus and whatnot. So we worked a lot with technology and started doing sort of things via FaceTime, whether it be sort of even interviews and meetings and even quotations from jobs. I sometimes go on a rant, so you might have to pull me back because I'll end up just keep talking and it'll be night time.
Right, well let's rewind all the way back then. You said playing football, had hopes and aspirations of maybe being pro, but at the same time you clearly had this self-starting kind of way about you where you loved also this other side, which is now your job and your career and your business. So how did you get into that? And at first, was it literally just you going around people's houses and building up a bit of a client base? And then at what point did you realise actually this might be better for me long term?
So business-wise, I always look at business as football anyway. So like business, right? You say you need to have the right people around you. You have to have the leader. That's the captain or the manager of the business. I started on my own. Where did I start? I started at British Gas as a gas engineer. Before I started British Gas, I actually done carpentry at college, but I'm that usual story of someone that didn't listen at school, didn't get any qualifications, thought I was going to make it in football and then fell flat on, excuse my French, but I fell flat on my arse with it. And when I didn't make it as a football player, I didn't really have anywhere to go with it. I just knew that I had to pretty much learn a skill set, and university wasn't an option for me, so I had to kind of become a tradesman. That's all I was really interested in. So done college, done a lot of time at British Gas, worked a lot of hours, managed to get on the property ladder from them, which was good. It was a good company to work for. I liked being employed. I didn't at any point think I was gonna maybe leave employment, but I got bored. I got bored of having to stick to one job. I felt like I had more to offer, so I upskilled, went to night college to become an electrician, and then decided one day to drive to Leicester. I paid £3,500 for a van, and put a local ad out in the Guardian newspaper for £50 a week, which at the time I thought was really expensive, like really expensive. But obviously nowadays I'd love to pay that money for advertising. So yeah, just went out and about with my van and worked as hard as I could, got more work, networked more. This is why it's great, I think, for business networking. I think business networking has definitely been a thing that as a business we've done a lot of, especially before COVID. Like I remember meeting some good contacts in the very early days of the business club that became friends, and I've done a lot of work with them. I think contacts equals contracts, and it's good to network. And if, for instance, when I first started doing what the business does, which is ultimately being a trades person, if I went in for a plumbing job or a gas job and somebody needed carpentry, I would find someone that could do carpentry, and sometimes I would just network in somewhere like Screwfix. Do you know what Screwfix is, right? Everyone knows Screwfix. So I'd see their van, what do you do? Take their number, and then I'd put 2 and 2 together and make 4. Today we've grown. We've as a business we hit the same challenges as everyone else in here with business. Everyone asks the same questions to themselves. What size should we be? How can we get better? Like you said earlier, you can plan everything as much as you want, but when something happens, it's not, what happens is how you deal with it, right? So as a business now, we've got 30 vans on the road. Could have 60 vans, could have 100, could have 5, could have 10. We're at a stage now in business that we're looking at the next thing. We're kind of, they say a medium business is 50 employees or something, so we're kind of maybe not quite at 50 yet, but it probably wouldn't take us long to get to 50. But when you hit 50 employees, you need to have everything in place, right? And I think time is money, and you need to make sure you spend your time correctly. So as a business now, we're probably I'd say we've recovered from COVID. I don't know what everyone else is like in business, but I think COVID's kind of now a thing that doesn't get spoken about, and yet it was only a few years ago that it actually happened. Again, you have to stop me because this is what happens with Ryan. He just carries on, mate. You know what I mean? But yeah, you got to ask me a question. Keep me on track.
Right, fine.
Honestly, I will just carry on.
No, I liked it because I was going to ask you. Obviously, you started as a one-man band, and I wanted to know where you've grown to now. So we've spoken about the vans and the employees you've got, which is absolutely amazing. But Ryan, at the very start, it wasn't Rye Group, was it? It was Rye Gas, which you spoke about. So again, talk us through obviously the adversity and the challenge that you faced initially as you making success, and then realising actually, do you know what, I can do more here and growing the business. But initially that maybe that change from Rye Gas to Rye Group, like a rebrand, a redirection. What was that difficult?
Yeah, really difficult. It's still a big issue now, to be honest with you, because Rye Gas was, again, it was something I kind of got bullied for because my name was Ryan, I was a gas engineer, called it Rye Gas, and if I'd listened to people bullying, I wouldn't have done the things I had done. So with business, I think you've got to back yourself and not worry too much what people say or think about you. You've got to just believe in what you're doing. But the problem with the name Rye Gas is it stopped us from doing so much more because it kind of pigeonholed us, because people thought we either sold gas or like Calor gas or something, that was what they thought we'd done. And then when we did start bringing on more tradesmen after myself, we had carpenters, electricians, blah 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 blah, we didn't get the carpentry work or the electrical work or the building work because we were called Rye Gas. So we ended up trying to change our name. Sarah and myself run the business together. Sarah's actually the business person, to be honest with you. I normally take a lot of people think it's just me, but it's not. Sarah's the brains. But basically, the name Rye Gas, we changed it, and we were going to franchise. I know the franchise word here is a bad word, right? But we weren't going to do it like that. But we were basically going to branch out and go across the UK and have plumbing franchises, electrical franchises, carpentry franchises, and the reason we wanted to go down that avenue is because we had a lot of good people that in the early days worked for us, and whether it was the fact that either they were too good or we couldn't facilitate them, we got sort of sick of not being able to work with good people because they didn't want to sort of work under a company. They wanted to be free, like I did when I first left British Gas. So we were putting two and two together and thinking, you know, how can we explore growing a business without having to handle the growing pains? So we sat down with one of, if not the biggest franchise company that originated in this country, and we ended up getting the trademark rye, which is what we use today. This one here, it was in Italy, the trademark, and we managed to get hold of it because the person who owned it didn't use it. So because they didn't use it legally, we could like buy it off of them, and they had to kind of sell it. So we got the trademark rye, and then when we looked at trying to change from rye gas to rye, it was really, really hard to do it because if you Googled it, we just would not come up anywhere. And I even think probably someone like AO or probably AO.com because of the fact it's more letters in the word. So floated rye for a bit and it just didn't stick, and we lost a lot of work because people just couldn't find us. And I think brand awareness is important. We're still sticking with rye, but we're sort of known now as Rye Group because of the fact we do more than just sort of one tradesman service. But yeah, the COVID stopped us in our tracks because as we were about to start actually doing all the legalities and the paperwork to be able to grow the business via the franchise route and then be able to go back to the good people that basically were working for themselves, we would have put them under our umbrella and they would have been able to run their own businesses but go home of an evening and switch off instead of doing what I originated is, which was being the tradesman, being, you know, the accountant, being the person in charge of advertising and stuff like that. So, but today we're very hungry and looking for the next step in how we should grow the business.
In business, I think this obviously is very relevant to everyone here today, the significance, the importance of the relationship you have with your customers and your reputation as well, but I think probably none more so than with trades people, because it's kind of not necessarily word of mouth, but you know, you can very quickly get labelled, you know, bad, right, which is very damaging for a business like yours. What is the key to that, or certainly what did you find? Is it just really simple of being good at your job and nice to people, or is there a key to that in terms of building your relationships and your reputation to make sure that your business continues to, you know, grow and have a good name in particularly in the local area initially?
Do you know, it's a very good question, and the smaller you are as a business, the more you can keep on top of customer service. I've seen it in lots of businesses. You know, when you're a hands-on business owner, you can call the shots. So, for instance, I've been doing a lot of podcasts recently, and I was doing a podcast just up here with a plumber yesterday, and he's wanting to grow his business. But again, he's so hands-on. I'm sure his customer service is amazing, right? Because he can say to the customer, "Don't worry about that. You're not getting charged. You know, it was my error," or something like that. I think with us, Google is naturally a thing now. That if anyone's unhappy, they naturally go straight to Google or somewhere. I think it's very easy for people to put a review or a complaint up. I don't know why people, when they get a good service, don't put as many reviews up, because positivity definitely spreads a lot further, you know. But with us, what I'd done in the early days is I joined Checkatrade. So in 2008 or 2009, Checkatrade basically built our business to grow pretty quickly. So we got, you know, maybe 15 or 20 vans on the road from going to Checkatrade and being able to get 10 out of 10 reviews for so many times. And we didn't get everything right first time, but then if it didn't, you know, if we didn't get it right, we would try and correct it straight away, which is what we do now. But naturally, like, our eyes can't be everywhere. You're going to get people that have bad days, a bit like, you know, football. If someone has a bad day on the pitch and you know, causes an accident, you've got to fix it straight away. For us though, I've seen a lot. So like, you know, the challenges in business, again, talking about podcasts, yesterday a carpenter came in to do a podcast with me, and he was gutted. And I said, mate, what's up? He's like, oh, the engine's just blown up in one of my vans. And he said, oh, let's call his name, let's call him Adam. And Adam says, oh, you know, I've got this guy Derek, he's an amazing carpenter, customers love him, blah, 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 but he's not put oil in his van. So I'm like, it's the new engine, isn't it? And he's like, oh, it's a new engine, it's $7,000. I said, mate, get rid of the van, because that engine's never going to be the same. Just you know, upgrade it. But anyways, he was. I'm going to go off subject here. You've got to keep me back because it happens a lot. But yeah, he was talking about maybe growing his business, and he's struggling at the minute with scaling up. But at the same time, it's not always good to scale up. Maybe he should just stay at his size and keep his customer service correct. I think with businesses, everyone has a different vehicle. I don't think there's one vehicle that suits everyone. Some people should have massive businesses. You know, they grow and they sell them. Other people grow their businesses because they want to be able to earn off them for a long time. So, for instance, Ryan, right? I'm going to come to you because we've got the same name. You're an estate agent, yeah? And we've got another estate agents here as well, right? Ryan, is it just one estate agent?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then obviously you can make that call at one point soon that you put 5 more branches on there, and then you might say, you know, I'm going to take a step back and go round and, you know, look at my offices, or you might say, I'm going to be happier and earn better money just having one branch and being really good in one area, you know. Likewise with Chesterfield Gordon, right? So the estate agent market is something that I know quite well, and that's the only one I'd probably connect with. There's other businesses here that way too clever for what I could do, you know. But at the same time, everyone is different within business. I think it's good to talk business with people who are like-minded. That's why I love these events, because actually you can sit down with people that are like-minded in business, whether, you know, someone's selling fragrances or someone's a banker. It's still got the same skills of you have to arrive early, you have to do a good job, and if anything does go wrong, you have to fix it pretty quickly.
Okay, right then, Ryan. So last question to you, the same one I asked to Pete at the end. So skills that you would recommend and suggest to anyone in any line of business to be successful?
So I think you said keep calm. Was that your answer? Yeah, calm's good. I think anyone that's running a business or working for a business.
I think just in working in general, really. I mean, but perhaps I'd say if you're running a business, probably more relevant to today.
I think whether you're working for a business or whether you're working in a business, you need to be true to yourself. And they say you change every 7 years, and I think you also need to keep up with the times. You shouldn't stay stagnant, you should keep moving, and if you're not happy, you should try and make yourself as happy. I think it's important to be working in a happy environment, because ultimately you only live once, right? Life's short, and if you're going to work and you're doing 8 hours a day, you've got to make sure you're doing whatever makes you happy. But yeah, listen, it's all good saying everything's perfect all the time. That's not how it is, in my opinion. So I think as long as you're happy at work, the rest will fall into place, really.
Okay, wonderful. Ryan, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Right then, so some brilliant stuff there from both Pete and Ryan. So at this point, I'm now going to hand over. Hopefully you've got lots of questions prepared. So who would like to stick their hand up first and ask a question to one of our guests this morning? Yeah, wonderful, go on.
How much do you use sort of outside consultants occasionally to help the planning of your business and direction you're going in?
Who's the question to?
Well, both of you.
We don't use them enough. And I think it's something that probably, if I'd known that when I was younger, we probably would have had better results. I think with it, we kind of got into the day-to-day hamster wheel of just eat, sleep, work, repeat. And I think now, as you get a bit older and wiser, everyone here is getting older and wiser, right? It's something certainly now we're looking into doing more. When Sarah first started working with me, I was pen and paper, right? and I was never going to change that. And after a long time of, Sarah basically saying we have to go and do software and stuff, it changed the business. I'm sure there's people in here and people we're going to be speaking to in the near future that are definitely going to do bits in our business that we need help with.
Okay, next question. Any more? Yeah, go on.
Just wondering if social environmental responsibility factors into your businesses and how important that is to both of your businesses and to you as individuals.
So the social thing, I think one thing, talking about COVID again, that was really bad for people to not go out and be social, right? One thing that we do and always have done as a business is we're very social with our staff. So we do lots of events with. Right. Okay. But I mean that as well. Yeah. I was going to go on to that and renewables. Yeah. Yeah. So the social aspect, right? I think charity as well. We do quite a lot with charity, something that Sarah does a lot with a few charities in Merton. But social aspect side of things, we do a lot with our staff to make sure that, again, going back to the happy thing, I think a happy workplace is important, right? For the environment, we have recently had a lot of our vans be charged £12.50 a day to drive them because of Sadiq Khan, right? So he basically, for a business, I think, he crushed some businesses, especially after COVID, from putting a new tax of £12.50 a day to drive a van. In my opinion, is crazy. But so he's kind of forced our hand to look at electric vehicles. But again, obviously, there's a lot of goodness with that. So the other thing we're doing currently in the business is renewable energy. So we're doing air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps. That's why I'm glad that we changed the name Gas, right? Because unfortunately our gas is kind of finished. So, but thank you anyway.
Right then, so I think we'll wrap that up there for Q&A. Of course, you've got a chance. Short. Go on then, one more. Go on.
With the lift situation.
Don't worry, mate, you'll get the job. That's the thing though with a smaller business, right? You probably could have been more reactive. Your customer service would have been probably better because you probably had to go into a call queue and blah 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 wait. But do you know what? Them lifts being down, genuinely, I think is quite important because so many people going back to the social aspect. So many people for football and stuff is there for their brains. That's their life, isn't it? To get out, come and see their friends and stuff. Like, for instance, my dad's disabled and he came to his first game on Saturday for a few months because I couldn't get him up here. I mean, don't get me wrong, AFC would have offered to put his seat downstairs, which would have been good, but he likes that big room too much because all his mates are in there, So, but now the service lifts up anyway, isn't it?
Right, guys, I've just thought there, give a round of applause, please, for both Ryan and Peter.